One of the questions I get asked more than most is how do I keep this level of energy, this motivation going pretty much most of the time? If you want to know how I do it, I'll be sharing it with you today. Hi, Mike Blissett here. Welcome to Design Your Life, Live with Passion, Purpose and Prosperity. And it's a great question. It's a really good question. Number one, I need to dispel the myth. I'm not this energized. I'm not this motivated, this buzzed up all of the time. Believe me, I'd get tired. My friends would get tired of me even sooner than that. So this is my professional energy. This is my coaching with a client. This is my workshopping with a group, my facilitating a group. This is my talking to an organization. I believe that when people employ a professional coach or speaker or trainer, they don't want somebody to arrive and kind of, even though they're physically there, they're only mentally half there. I think when somebody employs a professional, they want the whole, they want the whole 9 yards. So they want to bring everything to the table. So all your knowledge, all your skills, all your energy as well, so that they get absolute value. So that is my own personal belief. Now, how do I do that? How do I make sure I can do that? I was working with a guy called Russ Whitney in America about 10 years ago, and he had this phrase called mind feed. And the idea behind mind feed is kind of like the body, depending how you feed it, will have an effect. You can expect it to have some effect on the level of concentration and motivation that kind of you get from your mind. A bit like the body. If you stuff it with fast food, you can expect a fast food body. If you feed your body with nutritional food, with high energy live food, with fresh fruit and vegetables, etc., you can expect to probably have a more healthy body and a greater level of energy as well. So how do I do that? I think coming back to the beginning of this year, so a few months ago now, I made one of my intentions for the year to read a book every week. Now, it sounds like a tall order. I'd worked with people like Tony Robbins and my coach Brendan Bouchard, I mentioned before, and they mentioned this thing about reading, consuming books, and always having books on the go. Some of them read a book a week or a book a fortnight, and I know some people read a book every 2 or 3 days. Wow, I mean, how did they do that? But that was my intention. I wanted to task myself with reading a book every week. So what kind of books have I read in the last few months? I've got a selection of 3 books here I'm going to share with you. I'm not going to go into reviewing books, because who am I to review books, really? I think how you feel about a book, what value you get from a book, is very much dependent on what you want to get from it and where you are at the time when you read it. So these are just kind of books that I picked up, that I've read, and that I think are really, really cool. So I read this book. It's called World Class Speaking, and this is by a guy called Craig Valentine. Craig won the World Championship of Public Speaking with Toastmasters in, I think, 1998 or 1999. He's a cool guy. There's loads of videos on the internet about him, and he's just a great motivator. He knows the science of speaking to groups. So that's a great book. It's called World Class Speaking by Craig Valentine. I read that a couple of months ago now, and it was yeah, it's a great book. I'm still referring to it now. Something I read this again a few months ago, and I say again because I read it a few years ago as well. This book was published about 50 years ago, in about 1940 or something. It's called the Psycho-Cybernetics, the original science of self-improvement and success that has changed the lives of 30 million people. Remember, this is about 40 years ago now, so 50 years ago or something, so I'm sure it's more than that now. It was written by Maxwell Maltz, and it's got quite a chunky title, Psycho-Cybernetics, and equally his name, Maxwell Maltz. It's a chunky title and a chunky name as well. This is the science of how the brain kind of works, how we get motivated, how we can challenge ourselves to achieve more. So it's a really, really great book. Another book that kind of springs to mind when I'm mentioning this, that's also on the bookshelf, is Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, which was kind of, I think he wrote that in the late 1990s. This kind of predates that by about 40 years, and I think Stephen Covey took this basis, this knowledge, and just took it to the next level. So if you're looking at where that kind of psychology, that kind of thinking came from, this is a great book. And then something, this actually arrived in the post yesterday, and it's the latest book by Brendon Burchard, who I mentioned in a few videos, and it's his latest book. He sent me it, which I'm really chuffed about. It's called The Motivation Manifesto, and the subtitle is 9 Declarations to Claim Your Personal Power. I must admit, I haven't started reading it yet. It's the next thing I'm reading. I'm just finishing a book on my Kindle, as you know, this week basically. So this is my next week book. So that's what I do. I read books, and I think it just stretches my mind. It stretches my imagination. It increases my knowledge. So that's partly how I feed my mind, this mind feed, so that I hopefully can bring something valuable to this table of whether it's coaching or motivational speaking or working with a group in an organization, for example. So that's how I do it. So my challenge to you, my question to you is, what do you do? What are you going to do in the next 12 months to start feeding your mind? Is it going to be video? Is it going to be working with a coach? Is it going to be reading a book every week or every 2 weeks? What is it going to be with you? You only need to do it. They do say do a little bit often rather than like a week a year. You know, a week a year where you take a holiday and you just cram everything in for a week. Well, that's nice, but it's much more valuable to do something a little bit every single day, whether you read for half an hour or an hour or something, if you on the tube or a subway or maybe some kind of commute or something, and there's audio books. There's just so much you can do. So what are you gonna do? So I hope this will be useful for you in this video. If you're watching this video on anything other than my blog post or on my website, please go to the address now. You'll see it on the screen. It's MikeBlissett.com. I'll say that one more time, MikeBlissett.com. Sign up for these regular video updates, and I send out tools and tips and exercises that's going to help you grow your business, expand your mind, and become even more successful. So that's it for this time. Remember, live your life with passion, purpose, and prosperity every day.